Hey guys, welcome to Mic Check, the music podcast about music. I am your host, Liam, with my co host, Grant.
Hello.
Thank you all so much for tuning in. We really appreciate it. This month's theme is National Anthems. We are going to be discussing the national anthems of countries that have their Independence Days in July.
We're going to go by continent. This week we're going to be going over the countries in North America. Next week we're going to do Europe. Week 3 will be Africa. Week 4 will be South America. And week 5 will be Asia and the Pacific.
Now, with all the stuff going on in America, we are going to try and take a non patriotic stance in this episode and many to come. Uh, we are an anti racist and anti sexist podcast, and we are supportive of every minority. But enough about politics. That'll be for later. Let's get into some national anthems. First up is America. The United States of America is a pretty large country and is referred to as USA by some aliens.
Yes. It's Independence Day is, for anyone who doesn't know, although I'm sure most of you do, is July 4th. And let's let you listen to the national anthem for a minute.
All right, now that you've had a listen of the national anthem, probably something that you guys have heard before, as I imagine most of our viewers are going to be from America. Um, well, Grant, would you like to get us started on some of the facts and history of this anthem?
Sure. Yeah. All right. So the
That's
composer of
best.
this one, as you guys may well know, is Francis Scott Key. So basically, the backstory on this is during the War of 1812, the British were sieging Fort McHenry, which was in Baltimore, for over a day, about 25 hours. Um,
Wow, that's
and
a
then,
that's a long time.
yeah, I couldn't imagine being stuck in like a military fort for over a day. Um,
I know, and like, aren't those things like pretty small?
I
Like,
think they are, yeah.
yeah.
But anyway, on the morning of September 14th, 1814, the British just gave up. And Francis Scott Key was in a British boat off the shore of Baltimore negotiating with the British for an American civilian's release. I used to know that American civilian's name, but I forgot it.
As part of the agreement between them, the two Americans were not allowed to leave until a British attack was over, which I imagine would be kind of stressful for those two.
Yeah, what if the
Uh,
British just like gave up but then took the Americans with them? What if they just kidnapped the Americans?
that would be fun, or like just didn't tell them that that the siege was over.
Yeah.
Uh, that would be cruel.
Kept them on the boat for the rest of their life. When he saw the American flag still flying above the fort after the British gave up, he felt so inspired that he decided to write a poem. And he happened to have a letter in his pocket that he wrote. He came up with the first verse of the Star Spangled Banner on, and he just on his way back to Baltimore after the British released him and the civilian, he just expanded it and kept writing whatever came to his mind until he had four verses, but really only one is well known today.
Yeah. And a few newspapers actually printed it, and soon it became known like all along the East Coast. And eventually, it was sent. It was sent. Eventually, it was set to an English drinking tune, written by John Stafford Smith in 1775.
Imagine like this national song that everyone, well, maybe not now, but everyone used to be so proud of, and
Yeah, right.
it's just a tune that some Englishman might drink a beer to. That's just kind of weird.
Yeah, like this. Our national anthem is probably known now as the national anthem, but um, back in I guess 1775 and earlier even, it was probably just like something sailors sang while they were downing a pint.
Yeah. But something I found pretty interesting was that in 1916, President Woodrow Wilson declared it the national anthem of the United States, but for some reason, it wasn't the official national anthem until 1931. I'm not sure what happened there.
Wow, that's pretty recent too. Like, uh, I mean, that was only what, like 90 years ago. That's a
Yeah, it's.
like I would have thought, like, oh, they founded a country, they already have like a song ready.
I wonder what they've played at the Olympics. Well, actually, they might not have played anything then, but it seems like every country should have a national anthem.
I feel like it probably could have been something like the Russians in um, what was it, like the Winter Olympics, where they weren't allowed to go. It's like their own country, but they still had an anthem played. It was the Olympic anthem, not the Russian anthem. So maybe that's what they did before 1931.
But I feel like they would, since they didn't really have a good way to play something over the loudspeakers, they would have had to maybe hire a band, hire an ensemble, which I don't think they'd want to do. But who knows? Maybe they did.
Yeah, I honestly feel like they should have live bands um, for like these Olympics, like these newer Olympics.
Yeah,
I just feel like it would add a lot more atmosphere
yeah.
to the competitions.
What if they had the Olympics over like Zoom this year?
Oh my gosh, Zoom Olympics.
That'd be really
That
easy
would
to
be.
cheat, probably.
Oh yeah, no, just have like what do you like a background, like one of those moving backgrounds or whatever, and then
Yeah,
like if you're skiing or something, and then just like have a harness.
yeah. But
uh,
we're kind of not talking about music, so I think we should try to get back onto the music track. So, what are some
yeah,
good good covers or good renditions of this national anthem?
yeah. Well, personally, I believe that there's and discussed this before we filmed, before we were recording this. There's about like five like really good covers that we deem to be some of the best. And first one that we have written down here is Jimi Hendrix, Woodstock, 1969. This is you want to talk a little bit about that, Grant?
It's just, well, it was Jimi Hendrix was originally scheduled to play the night before at Woodstock, but that got rained out, so he had to play in the morning when it was muddy and there was like no one there, which is a shame because, well, it's Jimi Hendrix, a legendary guitarist. Seems like seems like a lot of people would have stuck around to see him, but I guess not. But anyway, he played on his guitar the U.S. national anthem. It was pretty controversial at the time. People said he like butchered it, but
Mhm.
he actually meant it to be an anti-war kind of version. He he used his guitar to almost sound like bombs falling and exploding. And of course, that
Oh
was
wow.
during the Vietnam War. Like during the middle of his um, during the middle of his song, he was playing the guitar, he was playing the melody, and then he just did a bunch of stuff on his whammy bar, and it sounded really weird. And
That's
all the really patriotic people were kind of mad at him, but it's
yeah,
still legendary.
I can believe that.
Yeah,
Now,
if
the
you
next one we have up here is Meatloaf in 1994. I know it sounds a little weird, a little funny. I mean, meatloaf, that's something you eat, not not like
yeah,
uh, but in fact, it is a person who a musician. He just decided to call himself and his band Meatloaf. But he sang this in at a baseball game. No, I can't remember which one. Um, but it was pretty amazing. Like
yeah, he hit.
he sang it really well.
Yeah, it was pretty surprising, and of course there are other beautiful renditions of the song, but this
Yeah,
is this is just the ones that we picked out for this podcast.
right. So some of them we didn't. We might not have seen uh, because we did pretty much just type in the interwebs best covers of the national anthem.
Yeah,
uh,
that's that's basically it.
yeah. All right. The next one we have on here is Jack Black in 2011.
And I tend to think of him as more of a comedian. Like even when he's singing, is he tends to be kind of comedian like, but he just nailed this one. If you listen to it, it's pretty impressive.
Yeah, like he just got the spirit like right on. That was uh,
Mhm.
yeah, that was fun. If I were able to listen to that live, I would have been very impressive.
Yeah. Next one, we have an instrumental one by Boston band.
Woo,
Uh,
Boston.
Most of their fame was in the 70s, but they released a greatest hits CD in 1997 with a few unreleased songs.
Ooh,
Um,
it's fun.
their rendition of the Star Spangled Banner being one of them. I really like the way they did it. I just think it sounds pretty good. If you don't know it, you should give it a listen.
Yeah, and we'll have links to all of these different renditions of uh, the Star Spangled Banner in the description for those of you who would like to go and watch them.
Hmm.
Now, the last but not least on our list is Whitney Houston at the 1991 Super Bowl.
I think this one's pretty famous. I'm not really sure, but obviously great singer. Um,
Yeah,
and she just hit all the notes, and it sounded pretty amazing.
I can agree with that.
This one, I don't. It doesn't make much sense to me why the composer Francis Scott Key put the lyric "the land of the free" in his song, because he himself was a slaveholder. So obviously he didn't believe that it was the land of the free, or maybe he thought
Well,
the land of the free only if you're a white man, which is
yeah,
basically what it was.
hmm and like not even a white woman, just like
Yeah.
specifically men. And it's really a shame. Like we're still battling this today. We had the Civil War that was to abolish slavery, which I mean, it worked for the most part. But there's still been cases of like human trafficking and like slavery,
Yeah,
and it just
in prisons, like prison labor, it's very inexpensive for companies to have prison labor. Like these people
yeah,
barely get paid anything, and
hmm
some people, especially minorities, are in jail for really minor offenses, and then have to work really hard and basically get paid nothing, which is almost slavery in 2020.
Yeah, which I like. We can't support that. That's not a sustainable like lifestyle for our country.
Yeah,
Just it really pisses me off.
me too.
uh,
Me too.
yeah.
So, what are some American music brands?
Some there's a lot more American music brands than Canadian music brands, which we will go over next. Um, Now we have picked out a couple of American music brands to talk about, as this week's episode will only contain two countries, whereas the next week's will contain like around five.
Mhm.
Uh, but anyways, our first brand that we have here is Fender.
Yes, it was founded by Clarence Leonidas Fender. You may know him as
Hmm,
Leo Fender in Fullerton, California in 1946.
that's fun. If I'm not mistaken, they actually have some like pedals called Fullerton.
Do
I'm
they?
not
Really?
entirely sure about
Let's
that
look
though.
that up.
Yeah, we'll get back to you. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it turns out that Fullerton is not a type of pedal, nor is it a manufacturer of pedals. It is full tone that I'm
Yeah.
thinking of. Uh,
And you have one of their
and I
pedals?
believe, yeah, I do. The OCD pedal, it's like a really heavy distortion and overdrive kind of pedal.
How
And
much is that one?
I believe it is the uh, one of their more famous ones.
Well, anyway, what's our next American music brand?
Our next music brand from America, the new land, is Gibson. This is you might recognize them from their extremely nice and designer guitars that they make. Uh,
Yeah, I personally do want a Gibson guitar, but I think they are sadly out of my budget. So, I mean,
yeah.
I don't think. Yeah, if you go on Guitar Center, they're all like $2,000
Jesus Christ.
for
That's
the Les Pauls anyway.
Oh yeah, Les Pauls are expensive. That's a signature guitar.
Yeah,
It's like made by one dude, Les Paul.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, the founder of this company is Orville Gibson, and he created it in Kalamazoo, Michigan, in 1902. So this company is almost a century. It is a century old. It's over
Yeah.
a century old.
I
So
tend to think of Fender and Gibson being like rivals, but Gibson has been around for much, much longer than Fender in reality.
yeah. Uh, and then, but our next company has been around longer than both, which is Steinway Piano Company. It was created in Manhattan, New York, in 1853 by Henrik Engelhard Steinweg.
Okay,
I
you
don't know if I'm
completely
pronouncing
pronounced that
that.
wrong, if I'm
Okay.
honest. Uh,
You want to pronounce it for them
okay.
then?
Heinrich Engelhard Steinweg. But his
All
American
right.
name was Henry Engelhard Steinway, and
Yeah,
that's the name
hence the
with which
name.
he created his company name of Steinway Pianos.
All right. So you'd think it's a German company, but it's American. It was just created by some German dude.
Yeah,
Uh,
I think they have
uh,
some factories in Germany, but they started up in America definitely.
yeah. Well, I guess that's about it. From what we have for USA. So I guess let's move on to Canada. This is, I guess, it's a smaller country in terms of population, but that's mainly because of the fact that half of it is too cold to live in.
Yeah.
uh,
Isn't it? Does it
uh,
have a bigger area than the United States?
I think it does. I think it does, and it's actually, if I'm not mistaken, it's. Oh wait, no, that's Alaska. Never mind. uh, I forget that Alaska is part of the United States. But
Yeah.
fun fact: Alaska is the furthest west part of America, or not west. Fuck, the furthest east part of America. Which you'd think that's how's that possible? Well, it is. It has like an island on the end of like that little kind of crest thing. I think it used to be the land bridge. Um, Before like the seas started to rise. But it's got a little island that's like right by Russia, and it's like right past the uh, the border that splits east into west. Um,
Wow.
and I find that it's like pretty interesting.
Yeah, I just looked it up. Apparently, the U.S. has a bigger land area by just 20,000 square miles, which is a lot. But
Really,
and if you're talking about countries, it's not a lot.
yeah. I mean, considering how big like the United States is,
Yeah,
it's yeah. Well, I guess let's let you guys listen to the anthem of Canada. Now, I will warn you, there's a lot of vibrato in this singer's voice, so enjoy.
O Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love in us command. With glowing hearts we see thee rise, thou Juno strong and free. From far and wide, O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. God, King our land, glorious and free. O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. O Canada, we stand on guard for thee.
All right, now that you've had time to listen to the anthem, uh, you know it's fine if you skipped most of that. Uh, but if you are Canadian, you should have stood up, removed your hat. Come on, guys, that's no way to respect the national anthem of your home country.
yeah.
uh, all right. Well, so this anthem kind of started out somewhat similarly to the American national anthem, but it was actually created about 100 years earlier than when it became the official um, anthem of Canada, which is in 1980. The composer was Calixa Lavallee. Uh, a lot of these guys are French Canadian, so going to be a lot of French names. So
I'm
I
a
do
quarter
apologize if
French.
I.
Yeah, I'm a quarter French, but I just cannot pronounce French words. If I I I just my brain seizes up whenever I see something French.
Yeah, I imagine French people feel the same way. uh, uh, all right. Well, so the history behind this anthem is the Lieutenant Governor of Quebec, the Honorable Theodore Robertel, commissioned Judge Routier to write lyrics for like a poem, um, and he got Calixa Lavallée to compose the music to that poem. He went through like a couple of drafts before he found something he liked, but then he got there and uh, he liked it. He pitched it to everyone. They liked it too, and the song was to be performed in honor of the National Congress of French Canadian, which I guess was the government, the form of government at the time. Um, and the first performance was to take place on June 24th, 1880, at a banquet in the Pavillon des Patineurs in the city of Quebec. The first rendition of O Canada with Routier's French words was well received, but it didn't seem to have made like a lasting impression. Um, and there were uh, what do you call it? I think it was like it was written in a newspaper or something, or like they produced like some like records or whatever, and the no one really went to buy them, so it didn't it wasn't like super
Popular.
rousing.
Yeah.
Yeah, popular. Uh, but at some point in time, I forgot to write it down. The Dr. Thomas Bedford Richardson, he translated it into English, and that's the version that most English Canadians and anyone in America who knows "O Canada," that's the version that we all know, the version that is most typically sung in hockey arenas in both the United States and Canada. Like I said, it became the official anthem of Canada in 1980.
Something. Well, this has nothing to do with music whatsoever, but just something random about Canada. Canada eats more macaroni and cheese annually than any other nation.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's fun. I can believe it. I got a bunch of relatives up in Canada, and they love mac and cheese. It's
Yeah.
like the biggest thing in holiday dinners.
Really?
It's crazy.
Huh.
Oh yeah, yeah. Like there will be the turkey, and then the macaroni and cheese like I guess bowl is going to be like bigger than the turkey. It's insane.
Wow.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Now, I looked for like a bunch of covers, and like the best cover I could find, like all of these are country, and like personally, I'm not a huge fan of country,
Neither am I,
but
to
like
be honest. I mean, it's music. It's better than rap, in my opinion, but it's
yeah, right.
there are better
Uh,
things than country.
yeah, and music is subjective. It's an art form, and all art is subjective. So these are the covers that we deem the best. The best cover that we found was "O Canada," which is the name of the actual anthem.
Mhm.
It's a metal cover by Osiren. Uh, Links to this will be in the description.
The
I
video
found
is
it.
hilarious for
Oh
that
yeah,
one.
I found it like super interesting. In the beginning, it's a dude coming down to like the doors of his apartment building, and like he comes across another dude, and they're both holding the door open for each other. And then at the end of the video, they're both lying on the floor, like passed out,
Yeah.
still in like their same positions.
Wow.
Uh, And it's funny. Everyone's drinking like maple syrup. Everyone's got like their hockey jersey on.
Yeah,
They go to Tim Hortons. It's fun.
of course.
uh, there are actually some Tim Hortons in America, which is really awesome. I think there were some in Michigan, and I love Tim Hortons. Tim Hortons is amazing. It's like the Canadian version of Dunkin' Donuts or Krispy Kreme. For those of you that don't know, but it's like 1,000 times better and much more high quality.
Yeah, sounds. I've never been there, and I've never been out of this country, although I do have a passport. And well, with the way things are going with the coronavirus, it looks like I'm stuck here for a while.
Yeah, it looks like we're all stuck in place,
Mm-hmm.
almost as if we're frozen. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I do want to go to Canada sometime. Hopefully.
Oh yeah.
Hopefully,
I'll
I'll be
take
able
you there.
to.
Yeah, that would be really fun. Maybe in the timeline of this podcast, we can go film some Canadian podcasts
Yeah,
or
that'd be
whatnot.
cool.
Yeah, that would be real fun. Well, some I guess maybe not necessarily fun facts, but definitely interesting to me at least. There's no like specific rule as to when it is appropriate to sing the national anthem. And if you're in Canada, or like whatever country you're in, it's very customary to if you are playing the national anthem or more than one national anthem, it is very customary to play the country national anthem that you're in before the national anthem of like whatever other country, unless you're doing the national anthems at the end, in which case you'll play the national anthem of the country that you're in at the end, at the very end.
Hmm.
So it's kind of either an opener or a closer.
Huh. That's pretty interesting.
So, yeah, that's pretty fun. And also, it's traditional for civilian men to take off their hats during the playing of the national anthem, but women and children do not.
Huh? Do they
I
in
know.
Do they in America here? Do you know?
Yeah. Usually, you put your hand over your heart,
Mhm.
and you take off your hat. It's just, I guess it's like a form of respectfulness.
Yeah, I.
And
But this.
and like you
Yeah.
do the same for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, speaking of Canada and music, I'm sure most of you are familiar with Weird Al Yankovic. He does funny parodies of many songs, and he actually did a cover of "American Idiot" by Green Day, a great song. But he called it "Canadian Idiot," where he just makes fun of a bunch of Canadian things. So if you're looking, if you need a laugh, go check that one out. It's pretty funny.
That's fun. Yeah. Well, I guess on the topic of Canadian musicians, another very famous progressive rock band is Rush. They are Canadian, and I mean you can kind of tell with their accents and their names that they are Canadian.
Yeah, they're a great band, one of my all-time favorites. What are some of your favorite songs by them?
I'd have to say some of my favorite songs by them are La Villa Strangiato,
Yeah.
2112,
That's a 20
Spirit of
minute
the
song.
Radio.
Yeah, definitely Spirit of the
I know,
Radio. But 2112
so
is the
long.
20-minute song, right?
Yep, it's
Yeah.
pretty long.
Uh-huh.
I guess I'd also definitely Tom Sawyer
Yeah.
and YYZ. Those would be my top 5.
Yeah, you named like all of my favorites there basically, except I'd probably put Free Will up there too.
Yeah, and Limelight.
Yeah. There's just
Okay,
too many good
well,
ones.
top 7. Yeah, I definitely suggest checking out some of their work. I mean, if you're into that kind music. If you haven't already seen them or heard of them,
Yeah.
definitely go check them out.
What is a Canadian music equipment brand?
Now, we couldn't find a lot of them, so we just looked up a lot of info on the one that we did find, which is Sabian. Y'all drummers out there might recognize that name as being one of the top four uh, biggest cymbal brands.
Well, you're a drummer.
Uh,
Can you name the top four in order?
uh, yes. Well, maybe not in order, but I can name the top four: Sabian, Zildjian, Paisty, and Meinl. Those are the top four.
Let's give them some information on Sabian.
Yeah. Okay. So Sabian, it was started by Robert Zildjian. You might be thinking, wow, wouldn't he be working for Zildjian? Wouldn't he? Well, here's the thing. Uh, his father, Avitas Zildjian, the creator of Zildjian cymbals, uh, he handed down the company to his two sons, Robert and Robert's brother. Don't know his brother's name.
It looks like,
And then like,
yeah, it's Armand or something. Some variation of that. Yeah.
but so Robert and Robert's brother had a feud. So Robert left the company and made Zildjian in 1981 in New Brunswick, Canada. Yeah,
Don't
yeah,
you mean
which is
Canada? Canada is the proper name. Just trust me on that.
yes, New Brunswick, Canada. It's over by Maine for those of you who didn't know, and it's about 13 miles from the border.
So that's pretty close.
Yeah,
Is
so,
Zildjian an American company?
Zildjian is actually an American company. They're based in Massachusetts, which I found that actually kind of interesting. Like, why not just set up a rival company in Massachusetts? It'd be a lot closer.
Yeah.
You know, no, he wanted to move to Canada. So
And
I mean, I guess I don't blame him. The lobster up there is pretty good.
yeah.
Yeah, if you guys haven't had Maine lobster, that slaps.
Yeah, I've only been to the East Coast once, and it wasn't even that far north. I was in North Carolina, so yeah, I've not really had. No, I went to Boston in October actually, so, but I didn't have
Well,
any
that's
kind of seafood there.
uh, you should. Seafood on the coast is really good.
Okay.
Much better than inland.
Yeah, like frozen clams in a can. That's about
Oh
what you
God,
that's about what you get around here.
yeah, pretty much. Yeah. Well, I believe that's all we had for Canada. So, I guess for those of you who would like to stick around for our what we call the weekly recap, where we go over, you know, uh, what has gone on over the week, uh, you know. But if you don't want to, thank you very much for watching, and don't forget to subscribe or don't. I mean, it doesn't really matter. But if you would like to, get notifications on whenever we make a video or upload a video, uh, subscribe and then click that notification bell.
And I just want to say really quick, this was kind of not a very music based one. It was more talking about the composition and the people behind the composition of the national anthems. The ones are episodes that are not in August. They will start to be more music based, more music centered.
Yeah. Although, I mean, the composition and the history of music is still very musical. So.
Yeah, but we're just gonna go more into the actual music and the musicians instead of just talking about this kind of thing.
Right.
All right, now
Yeah.
let's get into the weekly recap.
Yes. Thank you for watching all the way and sticking to the end of the video.
Yeah, we'll
Yeah.
see. But anyway, the coronavirus, of course, that's one of the world issues right now.
Yeah,
What?
there's been a lot of news on COVID. It's it's not fun. It really isn't. It really sucks just being in quarantine.
Yeah,
Uh,
I
and,
I haven't
just
seen like anyone I know besides my family for like 3 months.
I know it really sucks.
But
It's
we have to keep doing it, or else, well, I don't want to get the coronavirus. Like, apparently, people have heart problems after they get it. Some people, anyway. So, I
really. Oh wow.
yeah,
Yeah.
like people. I think older people and people under 18, which is me and you, um,
Yeah.
tend to have worse after effects. So
Really.
I'm just gonna stay at home, and you
Yeah.
should too.
I will. uh, well, even if you youngins aren't obeying the social distancing laws and shelter in place, whatever. Uh, you might not have any symptoms. It's actually pretty common for people under the age of 18, or is it 20? I don't know. Under like some certain age, like adolescents, um, to be asymptomatic. For those of you that don't know that big word, that just means that you don't have symptoms. Um, and that can be really scary because you can have it and you can be transmitting the disease to people that they're trusting you to like not have the disease, like your family, or like if you're not obeying social distancing, you know those people that you're not obeying social distancing with.
Yeah, that's why you should wear a mask, because if you have it, it significantly lowers the risk of you transmitting it to other people. Like that meme. You want to explain the meme?
Oh yes, yes. I love this meme so much. It's really funny. So basically it's called the urine test, and so if we all run around naked and someone decides to take a piss on you, you get wet like immediately, right away. If you are wearing pants, some piss will get through, but not as much. So you are a little better protected. But if the guy who's taking the piss is also wearing pants, the piss stays within him and you do not get wet. Uh, if you guys don't understand that analogy, uh, which I find, most of you probably will,
Mhm.
but the piss is COVID and the pants are masks.
Yes.
So wear your fucking mask. It's not for your protection, it's for the protection of others around you. And so, those of you who know that you have COVID, stay isolated, please. And if you do go outside, just wear a mask or two or
Mhm.
three.
Even if you don't think you have it, then you should just stay inside for your own safety and for the safety of the people you live with. Not to mention like everyone you might pass on an evening walk you take. So just
Exactly.
just wear a mask. Don't be stupid. Wear a mask.
Think of the children. uh, All right. Well, so that was the coronavirus, but there is actually another major thing going on in America, and that is the police brutality and racism against African Americans. Now, this is a very serious topic, and you know, uh, Grant and I, we feel that we can't stay as unbiased as usual because this stuff needs to be discussed and it cannot go like unnoticed
Yeah, we're just
because it needs to be fixed.
we're we I would say we're using our influence to like help the cause or whatever, but we don't have any influence. This video's gonna get literally like 2 views. But
Probably.
we're it still needs to be said.
Yeah. And actions do speak louder than words, so you know if you haven't already, please do go support the peaceful protesters in your area. We do support peaceful protesters, um, and
However, yeah, there are
uh,
the looters and the rioters though, which the looters just like, what the heck are you doing? What you're doing? If you say you're doing it for the cause or whatever, for Black Lives Matter, then well, you're just not, and you're to like Trump and to the news, you're making African Americans look worse.
yeah, and uh, I heard something from someone about like the FBI having found the main Facebook page or something for all the looters and how they were like organizing where they were gonna attack, I guess. And it
Yeah.
was a lot of white supremacy. It was white supremacists.
Hmm.
So and they were posing as Antifa, trying to bring Antifa into this, when in reality they I don't think they actually had anything to do with uh, any looting, Antifa that is. Um,
Yeah. As for the rioters, like if you're starting actual riots, then you're doing the wrong thing for the right reason.
right.
But if you just peacefully protest, then
Mhm.
that's what you should be doing. That's what you should be doing to support this.
It's a constitutional right. The founding thought fathers actually thought of this. Like, if there needs to be reform, then you should peacefully protest, and hopefully the administration running the country at the time will listen to you and heed your warnings and whatnot.
Unfortunately,
And
with Trump, I don't think that's the case.
I don't think so either. I think we just gotta wait until November. Um,
Yeah. Wait until January, right?
is it
That's when he gets
January? I don't know.
inaugurated. Yeah.
I thought November was like the primaries.
November is like the actual election, but Trump still gets to be president until January 20 something, I think.
Oh,
And
really?
I swear to God, if he gets reelected, I'm gonna just bury myself in the ground or something. I don't know. So obviously, we need change, and we can do it, but we need like everyone to want it, everyone to take action.
Well, that was a pretty good rant. I For those of you who stuck around for the entire video, we do hope that you feel the same as we do. Because if you are racist, we will politely ask you to leave. We do not want to deal with you at all. Well, thank you all so much for watching. By the time you guys are watching this, it'll be Saturday. We are going to try and release every Saturday. And I guess, well, this Saturday is 4th of July. So if you guys are deciding to celebrate that, I guess we wish you a happy 4th of July. And for those of you who are Canadian out there, happy 1st of July. Canada Day. It's your country's a year older. uh, but anyways, don't forget to practice your music. And if you're not a musician, please go pick up a goddamn instrument and learn it. Have some fun while you're at it too. We'll see y'all next week. In our episode where we will cover France, the Netherlands, Belgium, Slovakia, and Belarus in our European based episode.
Yes.
Thank you all so much for watching. Goodbye.